I am Gabriel Hu, and I am like any other boy at my school, except for one thing. I am an expert on vampires. So is my friend Topaz Tan. Together we have collected more books about vampires and visited more vampire websites than anyone I know. Ask us any questions about vampires, and we will tell you the answers. Like the time one of the girls of our class, Pansy Crow, came up to Topaz and me in the school cafeteria and said, "Hey, is it true that you can kill a vampire by putting a stake through its heart?" "Of course," Topaz said, taking a bite of her lunch. A bread roll stuffed with stinky cheese. It smelled like the inside of a coffin, a very old coffin. "That's what they did in Romania." Pansy looked baffled. "Where's that?" "Pansy, don't you know anything?" I asked her. "Romania is a small European country famous for vampires. They were called Strigoi." Topaz arched an eyebrow, licking stinky cheese from her lips. "You see, Pansy, the vampires were corpses who went out of their graves at night to feed on the blood of the living by biting either their necks or the stomach. After drinking their victim's blood, they went back to their graves. The person they'd bitten grew pale and wasted away, but the vampire's corpse grew fat and got rosy red." I put rich red tomato ketchup onto my sandwich and went on. "Topaz is right. So the Romanians got smart. They figured the only way to stop the vampires was to open their graves and pierce their hearts with iron rods." Pansy tore her gaze from my tomato ketchup and asked, "But Gabriel, how would they know which graves belonged to vampires?" "They didn't." I wiped the ketchup from my lips. "So what the superstitious villagers did was to open every grave. After someone died, the villagers waited 5 to 7 years and then dug up their remains. If they found signs of vampirism, they ran a stake through the person's remains. If the corpse was just normal, then the remaining bones were washed and reburied." "Sick," muttered Pansy. "It is better than waking up one night to find someone biting your neck," Topaz pointed out. Pansy scowled. "Are you sure it's all true about vampires?" I shot her an impatient look. "Pansy, if you do not believe me, you can go to Bulgaria. That's another country in Europe where they had vampires. That's where they found a skeleton that was 800 years old, stabbed through the chest with an iron rod." "And did they only use metal sticks to kill vampires?" she wanted to know. "Mostly," I answered, wiping a blob of ketchup from the tip of my nose. "Though in Germany and Russia they use wooden stakes as well, and the Russians like to stake vampires through the mouth." Topaz gave Pansy a mysterious smile. "Of course, people didn't always wait until vampires were dead. In some parts of Germany, when someone was suspected of being a vampire, they had their head cut off and it was buried between their feet. That way, if the corpse came back to life and tried to roam from its grave, it couldn't, because it couldn't reach its head." Pansy swallowed noisily. I finished my sandwich and wiped ketchup from my fingertips. "Anyway, Pansy, why are you asking us all these questions?" "Yes, why?" Pansy took a deep breath to steady her nerves and replied, "Gabriel, Topaz, I think I found the body of a vampire buried behind a stool.